Um,
Welcome, fair listeners. This is Bourbon Wine and True Crime, where 2, 3, 4.
Several.
What are numbers?
Depending on how many personalities you're talking about.
I got a whole
30.
lot.
Odd but lovable friends down and talk about true crime and gossip about a bunch of bullshit. Hello, ladies.
Hello.
Hello, darling.
Faces.
Oh, it's like the best beginning of my week. Okay, well, that you going from love to strangle, that makes me differently about where we're going.
It's been a week already. Well, as per usual, and as every day, I'm drinking vodka. Do you guys have any fun drinks?
Oh my gosh. Well, I think we got to go around the room. We're going to introduce ourselves. We're going to give our fun facts, and we're going to talk about our drinks. So
Drinks. Okay, so Randy, let's start with you. And we have a new fun fact segment today, don't we?
We do. AJ.
Okay, so let's start there. You bring us on in.
All right. So my name is Randy. My fun fact, I'm so put on the spot right now. I'm never first. I have time to think about it. My fun fact is I am a diehard Eagles fan. If you're listening or watching on YouTube, I have the Philly special from the Super Bowl where we defeated the Patriots for first ever Super Bowl win. So get fucked, Tom Brady. And of course, drinking vodka. But AJ, you're the one that kind of spearheaded the new fun fact thing. So I think you can talk about it a little bit better.
Okay, so I shall do that. So Randy loves to go off script. And we have we have some Patreon listeners.
It's not part of what we're doing. It's great.
I didn't.
This is the norm. This is just this is expected now. It's okay. We're gonna come back to this because we have some Patreon listeners, and we had a Patreon write in, and this is Patrick. And so Patrick requested a fun fact subject of what can you not go to sleep without?
I was just talking about this.
Wait, does vodka count?
I mean, whatever gets you through the night.
So for me, my fun fact, what I can't go to sleep without is there's a podcast that I listen to called Scare You to Sleep, and it's horror stories, and I cannot sleep without it. And it's 100% contributing to my surreal nightmares, but it knocks me out.
You're so weird.
I am 100%.
This just validates one more reason why we are friends.
But it's just, they're like, hey there, how do you relax? You're like, well, I terrify
screams of terror
until I can continue that in my slumber. So yeah.
AJ, what can you not go to sleep without?
Oh, I'm high maintenance, girls. Oh my God. I have to have my very large water bottle that's like one of those thermal bottles that keeps everything cold for like 18 hours. Mm-hmm. That has to be full of ice and water. It has to be like ice cold. I have to have a pillow between my knees. And usually a podcast like playing in the background. But if I don't have my water, it is an uncomfortable situation for everybody involved in the house. Like,
she also needs bath and Skittles to go to bed, but we're not. So
that's for another time.
That's for another time.
That's another fun fact category all in of itself.
Man, Sonny's thrown a lot of shade for somebody that passed out on a couch in Vegas, like mobbing on Doritos.
Okay, well, that's fine. So
there will be pictures on our platform.
There will not be pictures
on our Patreon at Bourbon Wine and True Crime for our Patreon.
Oh my God.
I have the best picture of you.
I know you do.
You are so pretty and smart and pretty.
Okay. And
all right.
Drinking so that we can
yes. Okay, so what am I drinking? I'm drinking a bottle of Sauvignon Blanc, and its label is the name of it is just Seriously. Seriously, because
all I think about is the artist. Do you know which one that paints like kind of like the chubby gals? And they did a meme. It's just like where she's like what, or where she's like seriously, and it's just them looking kind of alarmed. Do you know what I'm talking about at all?
I do. The
I
Renaissance
You
painting.
need to send me I need an example.
I will send it in our group.
So when we were doing our topics, and we'll come back to our topic, one of the words that kept coming into my brain was just like, seriously. So this was a perfect bottle that I stumbled across in my
I feel like
shopping.
it's representative of hanging out with you guys all the time.
So what you're saying is I need a vodka bottle that says, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
And mine will just say, what?
What? Cool pick.
Cool. John. So,
And what are you drinking, Sunny?
so this is a little homage to someone who has been listening to us, who I greatly appreciate, who is over in Kentucky. So Tracy.
Kentucky meat shower. Hashtag.
Kentucky meat shower. Kentucky meat shower. Thank you for listening and providing a lot of feedback and commenting. And so I'm drinking bourbon per usual, but I have a Kentucky Mule, which is bourbon, lime juice, ginger beer, and a little bit of mint. So
Nice.
Ooh.
Isn't Tracy that's been on our YouTube also? She said
Yes.
She said she was from Kentucky.
Yep.
She did? What's
Yeah.
up, Tracy?
What's up, Tracy? Hey, girl.
What's up, Tracy? Hey, girl. Hey.
Guy, however you identify. We haven't
Neither,
asked.
neither, both.
Neither, both.
Oh, she's a gal and she's sassy. So we love her.
And Sunny, what can you not go to sleep without?
So similar to you, got to have the pillow between the legs because our hips aren't what they used to be. And I need to have white noise playing.
Oh.
And then right before I go to sleep, I have to take my hand and between my legs and go, and then it's very, it's like a moment. And then I just knock out into blissful slumber.
So nobody said alcohol, so that's cool. I feel attacked.
Well, I had a fun fact ready that was related to my background here.
Let's hear it.
Well, fun fact was I was in charge of a research project that involved reconstituting 4,000-year-old feces to look at the parasites within. And it was very exciting. It smelled terrible and I had to do it at night, so I wasn't bothering anyone.
So there was the poop parasites behind you?
Well, these aren't necessarily poop parasites, although some of them are, but these are just some adorable parasites that I thought you would enjoy.
I'm sensing a theme in all of our stories with you, Sunny, that there's always poop.
There's not always poop.
Somehow involved. There was
no.
Wait,
there wasn't.
We had the
poop
phantom
involved.
pooper.
Yes.
Now we have poop parasites.
Mm-hmm.
Look, you're trying to make connections that aren't here. Okay. Don't try to put things on me. Aren't real.
You know what? I'm not to yuck anyone's yum.
Well, but speaking of, topics of things, what are we talking about this week?
Well, we need to hear Randy's what she can't go to bed without.
Oh, not vodka. Yes.
I thought we covered vodka.
Horrific podcasts and
Yes, you're right. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Shout out. I forgot my lovable fur baby Ruger, who intrudes upon my space. He is a very petite, slight 75-pound lap dog who lays on me. So I can't sleep without the Ruger. The sweet babies. I'll have him in here one day for the people that are watching. But he cries a lot because he has anxiety. So
you
we'll
gave
get
him that. You made him what he is today.
Oh, 1,000%.
Yeah.
Mothers and children. We'll get into it.
We will. Oh, we will. So
Mhm.
speaking of AJ, what's our topic?
All right. So we are going to be looking at the topic today of intergenerational crimes, or families with criminals within their family tree, right?
Mhm.
So the definition of intergenerational crime is the transmission of criminal behavior that can be explained by a combination of different mechanisms, potential biogenetic risk, social learning or limitation of the parent's behavior, official bias, and criminogenic environment with risk factors for crime.
Oh, AJ, you're using so many big words in that. I only have a GED. You got to break it down.
It just means you got a little bit of effed up genetics. It's all right.
There's some genetics in there. There's some socioeconomic innuendos. There's
Mhm.
some implications and, suggestions that parental behavior has a large influence on the generations that follow, as far as especially for crime or negligent behavior.
Those predispositions, y'all.
So
Tell you what.
let's
What?
get into it.
Buckle up, Buttercup. Shit's about to get real.
I'm about to bring the shitstorm, guys. All right, so let's get started. So and Randy and I had this conversation, like, you start Googling these cases and in my brain, I'm like, this is going to be so easy.
No,
This is,
I hated you guys
this
for
is
this.
cake. Like,
Hate.
oh my gosh. I
Hate.
hate me too. I hate me too, Sunny, trust. So when I started Googling this, and Randy can confirm, all you got was a bunch of studies.
Yep.
Like all these very complicated scientific research studies, which I appreciate very much. Not what I want to talk about today. It's not my shtick. It's not my shtick, sugar. So
sure. I feel like we're Sean Connery in all of our episodes.
It's not my shtick, sugar. I'm gonna take this seriously. All right. So there was where do I get the good stuff? Like, what do I need to be querying to find like some good stories? So I came across a article called "The Gang of Amazons."
Yes.
Love it.
And being a
Yes.
lover of Amazonian women myself, I mean,
And
Yeah,
Randy's
you
like,
are.
and being an Amazonian woman myself.
I thought this has got to be good, right? This has got to be a good case, the Gang of Amazons, right? Well, after several hours of research and several dead ends, I had to just like stick to my guns, pun intended, and stick with this story because I was running out of time. So I'm going to give you what I have on the Gang of Amazons. And would anybody like to guess what country this particular story comes out of today?
Amazonia.
The Miskira. No. Take another guess.
Brazil?
No. It's coming to us from
Yeah.
sunny Russia.
Yes.
So in the past 3 episodes, I really looked at cases close to the border, close to where I'm at. And so buckle up, Buttercup. I'm about to butcher a bunch of Russian names. And I have no background in Russian anything. So I apologize in advance to our listeners if I happen to just assault your ears with my very poor pronunciation of these names.
As opposed to assaulting their ears with your monkey call.
Right. That was that they, you know what, they might want to turn that on instead. Honestly. Oh goodness. So I totally lost my train of thought. Where was I?
Starting the case. Wah, wah. So again, slide whistle. This is where we need like
Yeah.
wah, wah, wah.
Okay. Seriously though. Seriously. See? Seriously. Where was I in my brain?
Seriously.
Seriously.
Focus. Okay, this
Okay,
also,
so Russia.
okay, but also now I'm
Russia.
gonna do another tangent so that you lose your place. When I was on a soccer team that was all gals from one side of the border to the other, like from Juarez or from El Paso, it was ran in Spanish, so I kind of had to brush up on my Spanish. And this girl would come up to me and she'd always, I was confused for a while. She'd be like, Sonia, you'll have to fuck us. Fuck us. Okay? Word? It's important. Fuck us. And I was like, I don't think I'm doing that badly. And then I was like, oh. No. So anyway, AJ, you gotta fuck us because
All right. I'm trying. All right. So the Gang of Amazons. This is a family of Russian criminals brought to us by the UK Daily. It's a really reputable
very
news source. So I went to our good friends at Wikipedia, which are free. So I'm gonna just be reading some info from Wikipedia. Shout out to Wikipedia. So the Gang of Amazons is a family of serial killers from Stavropol, Russia,
Hell yeah.
who committed a series of murders and robberies over a span of 6 years.
Hell no.
Inessa Tarverdieva.
say it with conviction, AJ, and we will believe you.
Tarverdieva.
Yes.
Okay, along with her husband, Roman Podkopave. Kopave.
Pots
Sure.
and pans. Yep.
He's 35. And their two daughters, Victoria and Anastasia. I love that name. Anastasia.
Of course it's Anastasia.
Like I want to like give this like really long pronunciation at the end of it. And Anastasia.
Is Rasputin
She's evil.
going to
She's
be
not a very,
making-
huh?
Is Rasputin going to be making like a little cameo in this, or is that?
We shall see. Okay, so Victoria's 25 and Anastasia's 13, and they began. I do need to add in here that Victoria is not their birth child. She is Inessa's daughter from her first marriage, and then Anastasia is theirs in marriage. Okay, so Anastasia's 13, she's the youngest. Victoria's 25, she's married. We'll get to him in a minute. They began their murder spree in 2007, but some accounts detail offenses as far back as 1998. Their spree lasted until their apprehension in 2013. So 6 years of this horrific spree from this family. So the origin of their names, let's get down to why they are called the Gang of Amazon. So they were given this name by the journalists in Russia who were covering this story at the time. And they were speculating all because, the female's in charge and it's her domination over the rest of the group. And so she's very Amazonian. She kind of became this like kind of folklore kind of persona a little bit. But it's unclear whether or not like the people of Russia like actually liked her, but they gave her this kind of mythical aura about her. So they called her the Amazons because it was led by a woman. That's not patriarchal at all.
Nope.
All right. The family has never used this name to referencing themselves. So the family was only dubbed the Gang of Amazons after media discovered that there was a knife that had engraved on there that said "My Favorite Amazon." So they took that and they spun their story about it being run by a woman, and bada bing, there we go, the Gang of Amazons. That gives them their moniker. However, what really is the true story is that knife was found near one of the crime scenes, and it had that engraving on it, and it didn't belong to anybody in the family. Actually, it was just there. I think what I read was it was one of the victims' knives that they had picked up. So total happenstance. Game of Amazons from Russia. Has nothing to do with one or the other. Okay, so here are the members of the family. So when we're talking about like, I really wanted to find something that was more than 3 generations long or more than 2 generations long, but it was difficult without looking at something that was not mob related. It was like the 5 major crime families of New York. Ugh.
Yeah, I ran into the same problem.
Yeah.
Same.
So these are the family members that we're dealing with right now. So the family lived in a comfortable home. So they were very middle class. They lived in a very comfortable home in the village of Divnyonye in Stavropol, the administrative seat of the Stavropol Krai, Krai. The family used camping trips to Rostov Oblast as a cover to commit their crimes. So here we go. Patriarch of the family, Roman Podkopayev. Okay, I'm going to go with that. Pots and pans. Roman Pots and Pans, patriarch of the family, was registered dentist. Isn't there like a saying about dentists, like they're like really prone to like violence? Okay, so
yeah,
he was a registered
dentist.
Yeah, I love having my dentist be prone to fits of violence. That's good.
Yeah. So he was a registered dentist, very highly educated individual. He was the suspect of the mysterious death of Inessa's first husband, and later went on to marry Inessa.
What? What?
What? What did you say?
What?
What did you say?
What did you say? What did you say? Inessa, and I'm not even sure if I'm saying her first name right, but it's Inessa. Inessa?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
Tardigrades. Inessa Tardigrades. She was 46. That one's for you, Sunny. And she was the matriarch of the family and was a nursery school teacher and homemaker. So she took care of the little bitty babies.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I mean,
but
same.
she gave up being a teacher for their robbery and murder business and had a profound hatred for police after her lover, which was a policeman, left her for another woman. Okay, daughter Victoria Tardigrades, Tardigradieva. 25, eldest daughter from Inessa's prior union with Arzu tardigrades, who died under mysterious circumstances at a power grid where he worked. He was mysteriously electrocuted. Anastasia Tardigradieva, 13 tardigrades, youngest member of the family and juvenile at the time of all of the murders. All right, then we have Sergei Sinalinik. He's 35, and he was husband to, I think they have this wrong, husband to Victoria and brother-in-law. No, I'm sorry, I read that wrong. So there's another Anastasia. We're just going to call her Mrs. Sinaliniak, and brother-in-law of Pots and Pans, Podkopeyev. And he was a police officer. So one of these members is an actual police officer that provided inside information to the family to aid in the commission of their crimes. Mm. Then we have Mrs. Sinaliak. She's 26.
Saline maniac or something. Like
saline maniac.
Yeah.
Cyanide.
Okay, so she's 26 and she's the sister of Pots and Pans, of the patriarch. And she denies any involvement in the crimes committed by her relatives. However, was known to store goods stolen by the family. I don't know where all this jewelry came from, officer. It's just in my house. My brother brought it to me.
Don't mind the cans of creamy corn in the corner.
It's the tooth fairy. Penelope was here.
That's right. Oh, Penelope. That's another fun.
You know who wasn't there though? Summer Rain was not there.
Summer Rain was not there.
She doesn't leave jewelry.
No, she doesn't. She leaves
half
burritos.
Oh, I want a burrito so bad.
Just for context, so AJ and I have named tooth fairies that come to our house that have distinct personalities. AJ has a fat pink English tooth fairy named Penelope, and I have a kind of Burning Man attending hippie who just kind of scrounges a lot, and her name is Summer Rain, and you don't really want her visiting your house a lot.
Okay, but now you have to do the accents.
Oh, Penelope, she's nice and fat and round and pink, and she comes from England, and she's got these tiny little wings, and she flies in on it, and she takes the two from Tristan's little bed, and she shoves in there about a $5 bill, maybe a £5 note under his pillow, and she sprinkles a little fairy dust on him and leaves him a cute little note and says, I'm just so pleased to be your tooth fairy today. Please keep losing your teeth. And so she takes the little tooth and she puts it in a bag and she flies back to England, where she goes back in her little teapot and she sleeps.
And like Summer Rain's like, you can't like own property, man. And like, maybe I'm gonna start my own currency, which is teeth and hugs. And we're gonna, you know, make that work. So like, and
I have a twig.
What she leaves you is just kind of like, it might be a half-eaten Cheeto. It's kind of like whatever she finds. So best of luck. And no, I'm just kidding. My child does not receive half-eaten Cheetos in exchange for his tooth. But
if anybody can't relate to this, I don't have a tooth fairy in my whole ass adult household. I have bills and a dog and a dishwasher. So I'm with you, fair listeners. I don't know what the fuck is going on right now.
So Randy, we're gonna come up with a tooth fairy for you. Don't worry. So
don't worry.
More to come, listeners, because
we'll handle it in May.
So, spoiler alert, if you're a Patreon, you get a Patreon perk in May. Which
we're excited.
Super excited. No, my tooth fairy is just gonna be like the Jewish grandmother, like, oh Bubba, you look so thin, you're losing teeth. You need to put the tooth back in and eat some matzah. Why are you yelling at me? No, Bubba, you look so thin. Here's some chicken. Like, Jesus Christ, stop yelling. Jesus was not a real person. Okay, like, don't get offended by it in Jewish religion. Jesus was
like God. Randy actually had a bubby, so this is a thing.
Yeah, okay, so for our YouTube listeners, actually Jewish, and I literally had a bubby who had red curly hair and fed me way too much because I was thin as a kid and she thought I was underfed. Bubba, do you need a sandwich? Bubby made some food for you. I literally just ate. Oh, Bubba, you're so thin. All of our Jewish listeners have stopped listening.
and AJ's like, so my case is definitely, we don't know what happened, but we went on several tangents. Yeah.
We did. That's okay.
Sorry, AJ.
That's okay.
Okay,
I'm
okay,
almost
AJ,
done as it
We're
is.
stopping.
Oh,
We're stopping.
We're fine.
We're stopping.
Okay, so here's our killing spree. This is a list of their activity and the people that they killed. Mikhail, I'm just gonna go with first names. Mikhail Z. On February 17th, 2008, bandits murdered Mikhail. He was head of the Information Security Department of the State Drug Control Service. They murdered him and his wife. They were shot in their home and then finished off with knives. So they were shot and stabbed. The killers took a doublet, I'm not sure what that is, a jacket, and a television remote control from the victim's house.
What?
Yeah.
As one does.
All they
I
took.
guess.
I guess they wanted to make them really irritated when they couldn't find the television remote the next day when they were dead anyway. Doesn't matter. Okay.
Excellent crimes. Inconvenient.
Federal highway murder, July 2008. Also in the same area of Russia, on the federal highway, the gang members shot a car in which Rostovites, Alexei Sazanov, and Julia were traveling. Sazanov was killed, and the other person, Alexei, was
bagel
seriously wounded. Bagel bites. The family stole a purse with a driver's license and a passport. So 2 more people down. All they stole was a purse and a driver's license and a passport.
They are the worst criminals ever.
They're terrible. They're horrible. The Chudakov family in July 2009, the family overpowered and shot Lieutenant Colonel Dmitry Chudakov of Nizhny Novgorod, his wife and 7-year-old son with a semi-automatic shotgun while they were parked on the shoulder of the road. Their 11-year-old daughter, Veronica, was stabbed 37 times.
What the fuck?
After
Wait,
the
how do you go
family...
from stealing a remote to stabbing somebody 37 times?
How old was she?
Yeah. So this family ranged from mom and dad, and then the children were also shot. It doesn't give me ages. And you'll see like the pattern, like how they dispose of their victims. Like there's a very clear pattern. Okay, so they stabbed the daughter, Veronica, 37 times. After the family murdered the Chudakov family, they made off with a laptop, a hairdryer, and a camera worth 950 pounds in assets,
So
leaving
exciting.
gold jewelry untouched.
They so smart.
This became the family's most high profile case. Alexei Surenko from the nearby city of Aksay was mistakenly accused of and spent 2 years in jail for the crime. The only evidence against him were the results of the ballistic examination. The expert of the Ministry of Justice had stated that the Chudakovs, as well as 3 other people in the vicinity, were killed by Surenko's gun. Later, it was shown that the findings of the examination were erroneous, and Surenko was released from jail. Okay, so that's the Chudakov family. So now we are at 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 murders, I believe. All right, 2010, 2 teenage girls. So the family partook in another murder and robbery involving 2 teenage girls, one of whom was supposedly Inessa's goddaughter. The family waited for their victims to return home, knowing they had weapons and money, but when only the family's 2 daughters showed up, Pots and Pans, Podokpayev, and Inessa ambushed them. The girls were tortured and had their eyes gouged out.
Stop. Stop.
Before they were murdered.
No.
Okay, Randy, with what you made me listen to on our road trip that time, and I had to pull over.
Oh, fun
to
fact.
black out.
I almost made Sunny literally pass out because I was listening to a podcast, which
It's a very specific type of description that I can't listen to. It's only 2 things I've listened to or read, and it makes me black out.
okay, to be fair though, AJ's covered people's spines having things missing and
Totally
brains being
fine.
missing. No,
That's
it's not
also
fine. That's my
Nope,
head hurts.
That's fine.
Nope.
That's absolutely fine.
Okay, like
Two is not fine.
Sunny, get fucked. All right, not fine. Less than fine. JK, I love you. You're so beautiful. But no, also no. Jesus.
You have to fuck us.
You have to fuck us, okay?
You have to fuck us. Fuck us. Okay? Fuck
Fuck
us.
us hard.
My
Fuck
Fuck
eyes
us
it.
hurt.
immediately.
You have
My
to
eyes-
fuck us with us.
My eyes hurt. Okay, go ahead, AJ.
Okay, so they were tortured and had their eyes gouged out before they were murdered. While Anessa admits to killing the adults, she claims that she never killed the children, stating, "My husband shot them."
Mm.
Okay, this brings us to the Novocherkassk murders. On March 10th, 2009, in the outskirts of Novocherkassk, the family broke into a house and killed the 2 residents who lived there. They first shot them with a gun and then finished them off with a knife. So again, stabbing, it's just overkill at this point, you know. The family took passports, a laptop, a camera, woman's boots, again a doublet, and a man's jacket. So I'm
And
wondering, like,
a tin of Altoids.
and a tin of Altoids, and the hemorrhoid cream.
And the hemorrhoid cream, because that would be
I'm thinking like there must be a black market for the IDs and passports, you know,
There has
in
to
Russia,
be.
just like there is here. You know, if they're going to steal identities, I guess that's how you do it.
Are you being serious
What's a
about the
doublet?
hemorrhoid cream? I'm
No.
trying to look it up right now. How do you spell that?
DOUBLET, a doublet.
It's a man's short, close-fitting padded jacket commonly worn from the 14th to the 17th centuries.
I don't think
How odd. So this is the second one they've stolen. It
so.
sounds very vintage as well, an antique.
For our YouTube listeners, wait, does it? Nope. Okay, JK.
No.
I'll post it on Instagram and Facebook app for everyone.
Yeah. Okay, so do.
How'd your girl, how'd your wife, how'd your doublet?
Right?
They're killing
And your
everybody up in
TV
here.
remote. Don't mess with my TV remote, man.
And your hemorrhoid cream.
And my
your
hemorrhoid
hemorrhoid
cream.
cream.
That's just offensive, and I'm not here for it.
Rude. Rude.
Very rude. Okay, so that's 2 more residents killed. And then on September 19th, 2012, in the same place, Novocherkassk, the family killed 26-year-old Vladimir Mandrik and 22-year-old Vasily Kamforin, 2 employees of a private security company who responded to alarms going off at a local dental clinic. The family took security guards' service weapons, which included a Kalashnikov assault rifle and 2 pistols. Okay, so that's 2 more. On November 29th, 2012, in Novocherkassk, the family infiltrated the home of Novocherkask's residents and taxi driver Vadim Loskov. A man attempted to pursue them, but was killed using the gun stolen from the security guards from before. So that's 3 more people. No, 2 more people. March 16th, 2013, in Askai, the family killed car inspector Nikolai Kutsakhan, who left his apartment after hearing his alarm go off. After seeing suspicious people near his car, he attempted to detain them, but was shot and killed. All right, this is another one. And now we have on April 8th, 2013, in the outskirts of Novocherkassk, the family shot at a car of a grocery store employees responding to alarms that were set off at their store. They wounded driver Nikolai Korsunov. He survived. However, his partner, Yuri Stunstenko, died later at the hospital. So it's another one injured and then another one dead. I've lost count at this point.
I was about to ask, what's the count at?
I've
Many.
lost count.
Many.
And then we
Up to
have,
10.
this brings us to 2013, where their reign of terror finally is ceased. It comes to an end. So April 24th, 2013, in the Askai district, the family murdered 39-year-old police lieutenant Andre Urin, who was going out for a late night
Wait, did you
drive.
say Andre Urine?
Andre Urin. He's a little yellow, a little
Yes.
jaundicey.
Jaundice.
Oh, jaundice.
You know, he needs a little vitamin D. I mean, but who doesn't? So he was going out for a late night drive, which I find suspicious anyway. Like, who goes out for a late night drive in Russia? You're
Andre.
going to find something. I'm sorry. He was on. I feel like there's a destination or a goal for him going out that night. You know, I'm not victim blaming, but it's, you know,
What's up, Andre? What were you doing?
it just
Yeah, I know. I
sounds
feel like
weird.
when you say midnight drive, it always has like quotation marks around it.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Okay, so Urine, poor guy, was shot at point blank range shortly after leaving his home. The family attempted to break into the house, but the door was locked, so the family left without taking anything, saving Urine's wife and child from his fate. So his wife and child were home. They couldn't get in the house to break in, and so they left. So Urine did die, but his wife and child were kept safe. On September 18th, 2013, after shooting an unnamed couple, so now we have two more, Pots and Pans and Victoria, so his adopted daughter, so the patriarch and the adopted daughter, proceeded to rob the home of a former military officer in Askai, Rostov Oblast. After finding no money, they proceeded to steal candles and alcohol from the home, as well as chicken drumsticks from the refrigerator.
What the fuck?
Okay, can we please create a list of the things that they stole?
We shall. It will be on our post.
Its entirety, because it would
Chicken drumsticks, candles, TV remote,
they
hemorrhoid
took
cream.
2 of the Monopoly figurines, so it was
Oh,
multiple
just 2.
if they took the taco, I'm gonna be super pissed.
There's a taco?
Yeah, is there
There's a taco.
Wait,
No,
what?
there's not.
My
There's a
Monopoly
top
has a
hat.
taco.
Of course it is. You're in El Paso. Of course
Yeah,
your shit
Oh,
has a
you
top.
know what? Maybe it's
You
El
and
Paso
your-
Monopoly.
bootleg El Paso Monopoly.
Actually, I'm fairly certain now that we're
taco
talking about
just
it, it is
sitting
in El
on there.
Paso. And there's a sombrero.
Yeah, she's like, this is the shredded cheese figurine.
There's my little chili.
The
Shredded cheese around.
guacamole.
I think one of the squares is Chico's Tacos.
Taco
Really sweet.
Cabana.
That's tortillas. Okay. All right. So they proceeded to steal candles and alcohol from the home, as well as the chicken drumsticks from the refrigerator. They were hungry, a little peckish. They were
I
hungry
feel-
from
I-
all the
I
murdering.
feel that.
Package.
Oh, we'll come back to that case. Thank you, Randy. Both Podkopaev, Pots and Pans, and Victoria escaped via a scooter. But they were stopped shortly after that at like a checkpoint, and the police officer or patrol officer asked for their IDs. So instead of like pulling out their documents to show like who they were, instead Pots and Pans takes out his gun and just starts like shooting at all of the attending officers there. So he dies in the shootout. Victoria is injured, but he's killed in this exchange of gunfire between him and the officers. So the officer he did shoot at was only wounded and was able to radio for backup. Victoria also made it out of the gunfire alive, but was seriously wounded. Shortly after, Inessa and Anastasia, she was the 13-year-old, they were captured by police at a campsite where they were guarding a large cache of weapons, including 20 firearms, a silencer, grenades, and ammunition, and their hemorrhoid cream. Items stolen from victims were also discovered at the encampment, like probably maybe the TV remote, I hope.
Oof.
You know what? I bet it didn't have the back though. You know how TV remotes always lose the back? I bet it didn't have the back.
Well, because when you're sitting there fidgeting, you can't help it. You're just like kind of.
You'd think they'd come up with a better design. I'm sorry.
Sorry, not sorry.
Oh, da 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 da.
TV remote. Found at the encampment.
Yes. Items stolen from victims were also discovered at the encampment, assisting Sledcom in linking the family to dozens of murders. The family saw their crimes like a day at the office. Tarverdieva, who also confessed to hating police, stating, here's our next t-shirt. Are you ready for it, guys?
Yeah, send it.
Already.
And I'm going to try this in my best Russian voice. I'm a gangster by nature. That's what she told police.
Yes.
I'm a
Hashtag for everyone
gangster
in
by
Paris.
nature.
Hashtag gangster by nature.
Gangster by nature. I'm writing this down in my notebook. Okay. Arrested alongside the family were Podakev's sister, Anastasia Sinilinik, Mrs. Sinilik, 26, and her husband, Sergei, 31, a former policeman. It is suspected that the couple aided the family in the commission of their crimes by providing them inside information about police operations and officer movements. Well, while Anastasia would not openly admit to aiding and abetting the family in court, she would not admit to knowledge of the planning of the crimes. Her husband, Sergei, confessed to feeling pleased that his colleagues did not know who was committing the crimes, but he did. So he was a police officer at the time. He knew all this was going on, and his fellow police officers were investigating. They couldn't figure it out, and all the while he's like sitting back very smug, like, oh, I know who did it. In fact, I helped. So the couple, the police officer and his wife, that couple, they also had stolen goods in their home and occasionally took jewelry to a jeweler for sale or to be melted down into jewelry. So according to investigators, Inessa seemed to take pride in her crimes and see herself as an admirable hero. During the interrogations, she said that she killed police officers from personal hatred and said, "It is a pity that they did not kill them very much." It is a pity that they did not kill them very much. I'm not quite sure what she meant by that, or if it's just a very poor translation.
Who knows?
I'm not sure. So that's the gang of Amazons.
All right.
That's it. That's all there is. I could not find if they've been taken to trial, if they
golf hands.
The 13-year-old was definitely accomplice, but I couldn't find out like where she is now. But yeah, that's all I could. I couldn't wrap this one up in a bow, and it made me very upset.
Sounds like a war on the police, kind of what it ended as.
Mm-hmm.
What's always so wild to me is, I don't know why, it's just how my brain works, but every time I hear some kind of news article out of Russia, I'm immediately picturing like the 1800s. So it's always weird to me when it's like, and then they were driving and cell phones, and I'm like, oh, but it's Russia. But like, I'm fully recognizing that Russia still exists now in 2021. But like, you know that you picture it throwback. It's a little grainy when you're like, what's going on over there. So.
Well, so like, slight shout out. I don't know if he's still listening. My gunner from Afghanistan was Ukrainian, and he had that thick ass accent and everything else. And so we would just come up with these dumbass jokes like, "In Russia, you hug bad." And he was like, "No, stop it. Your accents are terrible." And I'm like, "No, in Russia, you take shots." And he's like, "Please stop." And I'm like, "No, we're going to do this."
Wait, I feel like I heard something about that, but it was like, you know, in Russia, you don't take shots of vodka. Vodka takes shots of it's like always backwards.
And he's like, "I don't even like vodka. Stop talking." I'm like, "No, in Russia, things shoot you." And he's like, "Right, please stop it."
I have a sad story about Russia though. Like, I had a former student who was Russian and spoke beautiful Russian, perfect Spanish, and was learning English, probably the smartest kid in like the room ever. And he like told me stories about him growing up, and it just like broke my heart. Like, it's exactly what you picture it. It's like, it's
a little grainy.
It's a little grainy. Everything's kind of like muddy looking and dirty, and it's yeah, well, wherever he's at, I hope he's doing well.
That country was decimated. Russia was decimated by World War II and one. It just like still hasn't recovered.
Like, I had him as a freshman, and he was worried he was going to get shipped back to have to do like the non-compulsory military stint for them. Like, he was about to turn 15, and he was really upset that he was going to have to be shipped back. Anyway.
So, but AJ, see, this is I think this is appropriate, because normally you have left us with a serious bummer note. And I was like, well, although there was a lot of death, it wasn't quite as devastating as it usually is. But don't worry, we have a personal story to get us there before we.
It's right there.
Sunny, I'm not going to lie. I was researching my story, and I was like, man, the girls are going to be not happy with this. My shit is super fucking dark. So for the reverse shit sandwich.
So yours is the extra shitty part on the bottom. So that's but
mine was just the light shit on top.
Just a little light shit. Welcome to Sunny's Bakery, where today this particular loaf has 5 slices in it, because this topic sucked, guys, and it was really hard to figure out. And so I did my darndest, but everything was either super twisted or it was a case study. So I did my best. But what was weird is so much of it was really recent. So these are all little baby slices of bread, but we'll see what you think of them. So we're going to start actually in this month of this year. Ready for it?
Let's do it.
In recent times, we have a mother and son duo really rivaling the Hamburglar. So we have Esteban Hernandez, who is 20, and Nicole Martinez, 38, who ended up being charged with 5 counts of armed robbery and conspiracy. So I need you to understand which 9 businesses they had these crimes happen at, which included multiple Subways, Jersey Mike's, Jack in the Box, and McDonald's.
Not McDonald's.
Oh, I know.
How dare you?
Yeah, so these robberies have happened all the way back since August of 2020. And under questioning, Hernandez told police he robbed the McDonald's with a BB gun that represented that resembled a Glock. So what they got from each of these things was a little bit different. It normally was they were looking for money, but also it looked like they were trying to get some food. So with the McDonald's robbery, for example, he got $40, and the other robberies are about equally successful. So Hernandez said that he took a break between the robberies because he did get a job for a month, but then he was laid off. So he needed the money, and he said it was easy money. And so the Hernandez, the alleged stick-up man is charged with 3 counts of assault with intent to commit a violent felony. And the mother was the alleged getaway driver, and she faces the charge of aggravated fleeing a law enforcement officer. So we got that mother and son duo, but because of their vehicle description, they were able to be connected with those other robberies dating back to August.
I feel like my son, if he wanted to start like a criminal ring like this, I'd be like, baby, I'll be your getaway driver. He'd be like, no, mom, it's okay. It's cool. You know what?
I know, and you're like, okay, buckle your seatbelt. Let's check all the mirrors.
He'd be like, you need to sit this one out. I'm like, let's go. 10 and 2. I'd be the worst getaway driver. That would not be the job for me.
You're like, I'm not breaking the speed limit. What are you talking about? I'm not speeding away.
I'm trying to picture my mom being the getaway driver. And so she would have like NPR playing, and she'd ask me how my day was. And, it'd be like, well, I know that we probably had time with the yellow, but better safe than sorry. And we're going to be stopping, where we need to be. Such a shout out to my mom. She's absolutely the best, but
she is
not be a good getaway driver. So that's slice of bread number 1 that just happened. So the next one is also of this month of this year. And this is in Bay Shore. So this month we also learned that drugs and Barney don't mix. And
wait, Barney the dinosaur?
Yes.
Yes! Do it.
This family wasn't friendly. No, I actually just threw in Barney. He isn't mentioned, but I like to believe that he was involved in this in some way. So a Suffolk County daycare owner was among 4 arrested in a narcotics bust on Saturday. And tips from the community led to them investigating Channel Daycare in Bay Shore. And the search warrant showed where they seized 2 loaded 9mm handguns with extended magazines, ammunition, approximately 600 grams of cocaine, 60
at a daycare.
Yep, and more than $173,000.
That's my kind of daycare. Send it.
Yeah, Randy's like, is it an adult daycare? Can I go? Because it's.
Are there crafts?
Yeah, that's the thing is I'm kind of like, what if the $173,000 was for like glitter glue and feathers? Because we don't know what that was was for. I don't know. Owner Magodere Landrin, who's 50, and her son Raphael Landrin, who's 34, were involved, and combined they were charged with several criminal possession charges, criminal use of drug paraphernalia and child endangerment, and possession of substances and weapons. And there was a child in the house at the time when they seized all of this. So a second search warrant was executed at Landron's other son's house, a 29-year-old Anthony Dominguez. And there they seized an additional $66,000, another 9mm with extended magazines and ammunition.
So
And
like, is he single right now? Cause
stop it. You're like, you got money, we're protection. Like, I feel good here.
let me get that
And
text back.
his girlfriend was also arrested and charged with the firearms possession and child endangerment, and they had kids at their residence as well. And that's all the information that we have, but this was a bump in daycare. We don't know exactly what's going to happen. We don't know.
Bumping.
Yes, yes, it was a pun intended there.
Mhm.
And they are awaiting trial still. So we're not sure what's going to be happening there, but Barney and drugs don't mix, y'all.
I see where okay, I get the Barney connection now.
Yeah, it's the, yeah,
I got it now.
It was,
I hated Barney from Daycare Experience, by the way.
Oh, dude,
Well,
100%.
okay, you
Ugh.
two can just go suck it because Barney's the best. And
All right, well, you can get fucked because that fucking song that he sang is
I don't even know. Don't.
drilled into my skull.
I love you.
No.
Sonny, get
Make
out.
it stop.
Get
Make
out.
her stop.
And so now this is Bourbon Wine and True Crime with two hosts.
Her square
This is
just
what-
goes into like the
Foreshadowing.
like just white noise.
There are certain things we do not tolerate, and that's one of them.
Agreed.
Oh God. So this one isn't funny, but also is just another intergenerational crime. So this comes from July of 2020 in Florida, because of course it is.
Florida.
Florida man.
Florida. Well, yeah, it's two
I
Florida.
feel like Georgia's giving them a really good run for their money right now.
They really are.
100%.
Georgia's killing it.
Georgia, stop it.
Stop it.
So
Stop it.
these two, they didn't
You know
commit
better.
crime together, but they were arrested for different crimes within 3 months of each other. So there you go. So we have Raymond Coleman Jr., 47, who was arrested for burglary. And so that's there. And then we have his son, Raymond Coleman III, 20.
I mean, with the name like that, it is generational.
Yeah, it is. And like, yeah, I have to wonder what the original Raymond thought about these things, but they did not ask him for comment in any of the articles I read. But the third is 28, and he had been communicating inappropriately with a 13-year-old girl. on Snapchat.
Get the fuck out.
No.
Stop
Mhm.
it.
Yup.
Go back to the eye
So-
gouging.
Mr.
Yeah.
Coleman III is not permitted to have Snapchat or internet access. And the reason he wasn't permitted to even be on that is because he had a similar incident in January.
Of course he did.
He was arrested for violating the conditional release for having Snapchat. So those things happen. So the Colemans have been arrested, rightly so. And Florida, get your act together. Just get it together.
Florida, stop it.
So this one, while it is not intergenerational, it does stay in the family, and I just thought this one was kind of funny. So I'm just going to read you the headline, which is from November of 2019. Man caught driving stolen SUV on way to bail out brother, also arrested for stealing SUV.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Do it.
So they had a plan. They really wanted it to work.
They were all about it. So this is in Kansas, and
Of course it's in Kansas.
had been jailed hours earlier for stealing the separate SUVs. So it was, let's see, it was the only one that there was a Chevy Trailblazer was the first one. And then the Chevy Silverado was the second one. So, and they were reunited in jail, and they are both real interesting looking. So more to see.
Is it a real shallow gene pool?
It is a really super shallow like where you're like, it's kind of like when you are wearing socks and someone accidentally left one ice cube on the ground and
Oh,
you're like, that's damp.
It's the
That's
family
about how, that's
tree.
the depth.
It's a family tree, but there's just one branch. It
It's
just keeps
just
going.
one, a singular branch. So that was excellent. And then in 2015, we had this. Okay, this is just weird, and supposedly it's intergenerational, but this has been difficult to prove. So in 2015, there is a couple named Derek and Maria Broaddus who filed a lawsuit regarding a house that they had bought because former owners hadn't warned them about a local individual who calls himself the Watcher.
that's creepy.
So,
I know this case. Okay,
ah,
sorry. Go.
No. So they got sent 3 letters in the summer threatening them and their children. So the first letter let the family know that the couple's house had been the subject of my family for decades, and that I have now been put in charge of watching and waiting for its second coming. My grandfather watched the house in the 1920s, and my father watched in the 1960s. It is now my time. So that is in the first letter. In the rest of it was pretty threatening, but the second and third letters, which came, so that was in June of 2014. And then later in June and July of 2014, they received additional letters that said, have they found what is in the walls yet? In time they will.
Ugh.
I am pleased to know your names now and the names of the
Ugh.
brought to me. Will the young bloods play in the basement? Who has the bedrooms facing the street? I'll know as soon as you move in. Who am I? I am the Watcher, and I have been in control of your house for the better part of 2 decades now.
I don't like that.
Yep. So he, I now watch and wait for the day when the young blood will be mine again. So this is still kind of unsolved, but the reason why I put it in here is it's clear that the Watcher at least believes that his family has been stalking this house and any of its occupants for multiple generations. And we still don't know who the Watcher is, but I'm really glad that I do not live at 657 Boulevard. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's going to be a case we need to cover extensively. It is extensively. So interesting.
Yep. So that actually, those are my 5 intergenerational bread for the bakery today. None of which are remotely related, and this topic was super difficult, y'all.
You brought it. I'm not going to sleep tonight.
I have a podcast you can listen to, AJ, that will get you right to sleep. It's called Scary to Sleep.
I would like that recommendation, please.
My white noise is going to be cranked up to 11 this evening, and I'm just going to be like looking out the blinds, being like, the Watcher.
I did fall asleep to a podcast the other night, and it was not a good one. Like, it was a horrific one, and I fell asleep. So it was about Rosemary's Baby.
Mm-hmm. Oh no! Why do you guys do this to yourself?
Okay, so in my dream, I was like 36 weeks pregnant, and a demon was trying to burn down my house.
Nope.
Yeah. I was like, I probably shouldn't listen to that again at night.
Listen to like who's the comedian who tells dad jokes where it's just like, I spilled rug cleaner on my Doug's spot and now he's gone. Who am I thinking of?
I have no idea.
Nope.
No.
Well, dude, I was at one of my friend's houses and she had AJ, you'll appreciate this. She had some like unburned sage. I was like, oh, hell yes, queen sage. She's like, oh, I can't burn it because my husband gets annoyed by it. I'm like,
that's even more reason to do it.
Yeah.
So your husband doesn't like the sage.
Interesting. Have you tried flinging salt on him to see what happens?
Have you handed him a pure silver fork?
Have you tried a demon circle? Nope.
Do you cook with a lot of garlic? I don't know. I know nothing about this. I just assume garlic bothers all supernatural creatures.
Well, I'm Italian, so we cook with a ton of garlic.
Mm.
All right.
But so those
So-
are my cases. At the end of the bakery.
Yum.
So I'm glad for you guys' cases because my shit is. Yep.
Dark.
All right. So
do you have to do it in a
will-
Batman voice the whole time?
No.
Dark Knight.
Just no. Also no. So
I'll just be here with my bourbon. It's fine. Don't
I'll be here.
appreciate it.
I like literally poured more vodka when you were talking because this shit is so disgusting. All right, so today I will be covering the case of the Briley brothers because much like AJ said, I tried to look up intergenerational crimes and it was more difficult than I thought. When somebody suggested this, it might have been me.
Somebody
It was probably me. It was
who
totally
has
me.
some initials that we say frequently.
All right, so Linwood Earl of Briley, James Darrell Briley Jr., and Anthony Ray Briley were a sibling trio of serial killers, rapists, and robbers who are responsible for a killing spree that happened in Richmond, Virginia in 1979. So I'll be talking about the dates, but this happened very quickly. So it only happened in the year of 1979.
I remember this case.
Do you really?
I do.
Dude, I'd never heard of it.
Yeah. It's
I don't know this one.
It's a doozy. You might want to take a swig.
You know what, sis? Say less.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a lot of vodka. All right, here we go. All right, so the first killing happened on January 28th of 1979 by the eldest brother. Nope, sorry. Fake news. First killing happened on January 20th, 1971 by the eldest brother, Linwood Briley, who was 16 at the time. Orlean Christian was a 57-year-old neighbor who was hanging laundry in her backyard when Linwood shot her with a rifle from his bedroom window. She's out there hanging laundry. He takes a shot. The cause of death was unclear, aka unknown, until her family members noticed a small bloody mark under her armpit at the viewing and asked the funeral director to re-examine the body. At the second examination, a small caliber bullet wound was discovered, and that's when they figured out that it wasn't a accidental death, that she had been killed. When police recreated the scene in Orleans' backyard, they saw that the trajectory of the bullet began at the Briley residence. After police found the murder weapon in the home of Linwood, who was the 16-year-old that shot her, he confessed to the killing, saying, and I quote, "I heard she had heart problems. She would have died soon anyway."
Oh,
It gets so much worse.
yeah, it does.
So she, Linwood was sentenced. So the boy that killed her was sentenced to reform school, and he served a 1-year sentence.
I feel like this is a common thread in your all's cases where it's like horrific shit. Oh, I'm sure it'll be fine. You know, hey, quit it. No.
No, exactly. Like you stop it. You stop it.
You crazy kids.
So brother James followed behind Linwood, and he was sentenced to the same reform school for shooting at a police during a pursuit. He also received a 1-year sentence. In 1979, the Briley brothers, so it's 3 at this point, it's Linwood, James, and Anthony. So in 1979, the Briley brothers and Duncan Eric Meekins, who ended up being an accomplice in what I'm going to talk about, began these 7-month series of random killings that terrified Richmond and surrounding areas. So we're in Richmond, Virginia. On March 12th, 1979, Linwood knocked on the door of Henrico County couple William and Virginia Butcher, saying that they had car trouble and he asked to use their telephone. They didn't want to let them in, but they forced their way in, and the couple was tied up and then robbed. So they were tied up and they were robbed, And as the brothers went through each room, they doused the rooms in kerosene. And then they walked out of the house, tossed a lit match, and the house caught on fire. What they had stolen was a television, a CB radio, a 32 pistol, and jewelry. And then they escaped by car.
Did they
Meekin-
remember the remote?
Did they get the hemorrhoid cream?
Did they get the hemorrhoid cream?
No
And the
hemorrhoid
remote
cream,
for the TV?
no
I'm just
remote,
wondering.
just the CB radio. I would be
But,
so
like-
fucking annoyed if somebody stole my TV remote.
Like, my question is, okay, so I'm sitting here and I'm picturing, you know, like, you know, we have siblings. I'm trying to figure out how you just casually bring this up in conversation, that this is something you'd like to do. What do you think about it? Like, I wonder this about anybody who does crimes together, is how do you broach that subject? Because it's not like, hey, I was thinking of making chicken for dinner. It's like, hey, how do you
Let's
feel
go kill some people.
murdering people?
Set
Is
their
that-
house on fire.
Like, is
Yeah. Well, because I couldn't find any evidence that they had, you know, an abusive household, things like that, which we kind of use as, I guess, excuses. They seem to come from a pretty normal household. They seem pretty normal until they weren't. So the couple was tied up. They were robbed. They doused kerosene all over the house. As they walked out, they tossed a lit match into a puddle of kerosene. And luckily, Meekins hadn't tied the couple up very tightly. So Meekins is the not brother. And William Butcher managed to free himself and his wife, and they escaped the blaze. But, and I'm sorry to our fair listeners, the cat died in the inferno.
no.
I know. Not
That's
great. Super shitty.
real shitty.
Poor cat. Poor kitty.
Why you gotta throw one? You of all people, you're picking the one where the animal dies in it? I can't even watch my dog Skip.
Dude, I
Like-
bawled my ass out during Marley and Me. Don't even at me.
Oh, I can't read the last 10 pages of the book. I have to stop. I've never read the last 10 pages.
100%.
Intense.
All right. So on March 21st, Linwood shot and killed 20-year-old Eric Alvin Clark over a drug dispute involving Meekins, who Meekins is the not brother. On April 9th, the brothers followed 76-year-old Mary Gowan across town from her babysitting job. They followed into her house, beat, raped, and robbed and shot her. They escaped from the residence with many of her valuables. On July 4th, 1979, the group saw 17-year-old Christopher Phillips near Linwood's parked car. They said that they thought he was trying to steal the car, so they surrounded him, dragged him to a nearby backyard, and when Phillips screamed for help, Linwood dropped a cinder block onto his head, killing him.
Oh my god.
I don't know what number we're at right now.
I lost track.
On September 14th. So again, this all happens in 1979. It happens very quickly. On September 14th, disc jockey John Harvey, aka Johnny G, Gallagher, was performing with his band at South Richmond nightclub. He stepped outside between sets for a break. He inadvertently became into the clutches of the brothers. They had been looking around town for a victim all night. They hadn't found anybody, and they decided to just wait in the shadows. And Gallagher stepped outside. He was assaulted by Linwood, and he was put into the trunk of his own Lincoln Continental. He was then driven to the ruins of a paper mill on Mayo Island, located in the middle of the James River. He was removed from the trunk of his car and shot dead at point blank range in the head. $6 was taken from his wallet and divided up. Gallagher's body was then dumped into the river. The remains were found 2 days later. When arrested months later, Linwood was still wearing the ring stolen from Gallagher's body.
Okay, so here's, you guys to like collectively have enough body count where thank goodness no one died in any way, because y'all covered enough for like if 7 people were on this.
Yeah.
You guys collectively had enough for 7. So really glad I didn't add any to the body count for today.
Yes, like everyone survived our Well, nope, everyone survived your cases. Zero. Well, nope, 2 people survived ours.
Yeah, I think 2 people.
So should we have like a body counter for each episode?
Oh,
Just like the little tick tick.
I'm gonna write
yeah.
that down.
Just a little, yeah, like little body counter.
Our Patreon members get to see the body count. All right.
Those have to do math. So.
And what's so great is it gets so much worse.
Oh, Randy.
I know. So on September 30th, 62-year-old private nurse May Wilfong was followed home to her Richmond apartment. The brothers surrounded her just outside the door and Linwood beat her to death with a baseball bat. The brothers entered her apartment and robbed it of all valuables. All valuables. On October 5th, 5 days later, 75-year-old Blanche Page and her 59-year-old boarder Charles Gardner were murdered by the brothers. Page was bludgeoned to death while Gardner was fatally assaulted and stabbed to death with various weapons, which included a baseball bat, 5 knives, a pair of scissors, and a fork. The scissors and fork were left embedded in Gardner's back. All right, this is where it gets bad. All right, so on October 19th, 1979, the group attacked their final victims. Harvey Wilkerson was a longtime friend of the brothers. When he saw the brothers down the street from the home he shared with his wife, Judy Diane Barton, who was 5 months pregnant at the time, and their 5-year-old son, Harvey Wayne Barton, he shut and locked the door. The brothers saw this and approached him and started banging on the door. He was terrified of what would happen if he didn't open the door, so he let them in.
Oh, puppy, no, little puppy, no.
Yeah, I have so many guns for this reason. The adults were bound and gagged with duct tape. Linwood dragged Judy, the 5-month pregnant woman, into the kitchen, and then he and Meekins raped her. They dragged Judy back into the living room, and Linwood looked around for valuables, and then he left the residence. So Lynn was the oldest of the brothers. The 3 killers covered the victims with sheets, and then James told Meekins, and I quote, "You've got to get one." Meekins took a pistol and shot Harvey Wilkerson, the dad, in the head. James then shot Judy and 5-year-old Harvey Wayne Barton. There had been reports in the area of shots fired, so police were in the neighborhood when they saw the group running down the street. And in the reports that I saw, they were sprinting, and so cops stopped and arrested them. They didn't know where the shots had come from, so the bodies weren't discovered for another 3 days, but the brothers were still under arrest because suspicious activity. During his interrogation, Meekins was offered a plea agreement in return for turning state's evidence against the brothers. He took the offer and provided a full detail of the crimes that happened. As a result, he escaped the death penalty, and he was incarcerated at a Virginia prison away from the Briley brothers. Under the agreement, Meekins was given a life sentence plus 80 years, which at the time of conviction would make him eligible for parole after serving 12 to 15 years. Which, cool. So a single life sentence with parole eligibility was handed down to Anthony Briley, the youngest, due to his limited involvement in the killings. Because of Virginia's quote-unquote Triggerman statute, both James and Linwood received numerous life sentences for physically committing the actual killings of the victims. Linwood was sentenced to death for the abduction and murder of Gallagher, the DJ, while James received 2 life sentences, one for each of the murders of Judy Barton and her 5-year-old son Harvey. Both were sent to death row at Mecklenburg Correctional Center near Borden in early 1980. Here's where it gets interesting. On May 31st, 1984, Linwood and James Briley were the ringleaders in a 6-inmate escape from Virginia's death row at Mecklenburg Correctional Center. During the moments of the escape, in which a coordinated effort resulted in inmates taking over the death row unit, both Brileys expressed strong interest in killing the captured guards by dousing them with rubbing alcohol and tossing a lit match, which is how the first crime happened.
See, I was really hoping that you were going to be like, and now for a lighthearted note, the way that they tried to escape is, one of them dressed up as a clown and they're like, step right up, whatever. And they put on a whole circus and then, there was a musical number and they kind of like tap danced out and no.
You're like, somebody tried to escape and they were murdered.
Cool. Yeah, no, I was really hoping there might be a but fun twist. Like,
Dude, I was
fun escape.
Not here.
I was an
No?
hour into researching this and I was like, this is so bad. So
Okay. Was trying desperately.
an attempt was made. So William Lloyd Turner, he was another death row inmate who was, fun fact, he was convicted of murder and he was executed by lethal injection on March 25th, 1995. He stepped in Jamie's way and stopped him from setting the guards on fire.
Well,
So-
good.
Well, I'm
There's
glad
a
that
moral compass somewhere.
I'm glad that upstanding citizen was there to help with the situation.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
I don't know how to feel about that.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So meanwhile, Wilbert Lee Evans, he was on death row after being convicted of the murder of Alexandria's city sheriff's deputy, William Truesdale. He prevented Linwood from raping a female nurse. Because mind you, they took over this whole
Oh, thank
fucking
God.
death row cell. So Evans was executed on October 17th, 1990, despite pleas for clemency and confirmation from the Mecklenburg guards who said they owed their lives to Evans. Alexandria Commonwealth's attorney John Klotch declined the clemency, and Governor L. Douglas Wilder ultimately declined the clemency. So despite him putting in so much work to save these guards during this escape attempt, he still was put to death.
But is one life measurable for another? He took something. I don't know what he was convicted of, honestly, and I think that him being there is admirable to try to save these other
Something.
people's life. Like, you obviously value some sort of life now, but I feel like that even though he fought to have clemency, I'm not sad.
Yeah, it's a very convoluted argument with it, where it's, well, he did something good at the end of his life, but he did something bad earlier on. So what balances out?
Well, it's
don't-
like Reverend John Fight. He spent decades being a charitable member of his community, but he still killed Irene Garza. I'm
Still
glad you went to
sucked,
jail.
dude.
I'm glad you had life. You only spent 2 years in there, motherfucker, but now you're there. So
Yeah, it's definitely not an easy argument. I
mm-mm.
know how I would feel if I was the guards with this man that saved me from being raped, but I wasn't in that situation, so I don't know how I would feel as the family, as the guards,
Yeah.
it's not an easy answer for sure. So on June 19th, 1984, the brothers, so this is they had this whole escape that they did. June 19th, 1984, they were captured by police in the home of their uncle in Philadelphia. Philly. Police and FBI agents had wiretaps on their uncle's phone, which he was near Philly, so that's how they knew that the brothers were there. And so they were recaptured. So on October 12th, 1984, Linwood was executed by electric chair at the Virginia State Penitentiary in Richmond, Virginia, and James, his younger brother, was executed on April 18th, 1985. And this kind of ties back to,
Bye.
All I can think
Yeah.
about with the electric chairs, when they have Marv in the electric chair in Sin City, and they like get him, and then he like spits out some blood and he laughs. He's like, "Is that all you got?" He's my favorite character in that.
don't be a little bitch.
Mickey Rourke is so amazing as that character. Like,
100%.
it's his best one ever.
Well, luckily this dude died because he's fucking foul. His brother was executed on April 18th, 1985, the same year. Nope, next year. So interesting, Linwood was survived by his son, Norman Laquan Ampey, who later served time for a bank robbery, and he died in 2015. Couldn't find a lot of information on how he died.
So another member of the family, though.
Another member of the family.
James was survived by 3 daughters who all live in Richmond. I couldn't find a whole lot about them. Anthony Ray Briley, so the youngest, was given a life sentence with a possibility of parole, as it could not be proven that he was directly responsible for any of the murders. It seems like he was just there. He is incarcerated at Augusta Correctional Center, about 20 miles outside of Staunton, Virginia. To date, all of his applications for parole have been denied by the state parole board, as
Good.
100%. As have those at Duncan Meekins, who was there and fucking shot people in the head. This fucking dirtbag. Despite recommendations from former prosecutors Rice and Scooch, that's an unfortunate name.
No, wait, please.
And they
Cooch.
Scooch.
Right,
They said that Meekins helped with the prosecuting and convicting of the Briley brothers, so he should be paroled. I disagree personally. So that is the case of the Briley brothers.
The doozy.
Golf class, golf snaps, golf hands. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that
It was a hard topic.
that was not a
my
fun one to
God.
research, just because like like literally my biggest fucking fear is I get followed home and there's a home invasion and these dudes
That's so dark.
and there's no like, their family life seemed normal. They just decided one day they were just gonna, and it was like the gamut, right? It was murder, it was robbery, it
Rape.
was sexual assault, it was rape.
Murder of children.
Who the fuck shoots a 5-year-old? I don't even like kids. I'm not about to do that shit.
I mean, but like that's the crazy part, is that for anything like this, when you look at, behavioral tendencies, the nature versus nurture, there's a lot that we don't know, but genetics is so much a part of it, where yeah, maybe they had an entirely normal childhood, but if you have a strong predisposition for something like this genetically, then it's not to say that your fate is destined, but you have a much higher likelihood for being triggered to behave in this way.
I mean, Sonny, your little interrupting goblin, he is
Hey.
annoying. And it just never...
He is spirited. Okay.
He tries his best.
He's amazing.
Oh no,
I miss him.
Oh God, he's so big.
He's a lot. He's a lot. I know.
But it never, and so of the 3 of us, I'm the only one with no kids. And so I don't understand the mom aspect from that level, but it just, like, hurting a kid to me is just offensive. And I know that word gets tossed around a lot. Like, I'm offended by Cheetos, but it's just, it goes against everything for me to hurt a kid.
It's like hurting a puppy. It doesn't make sense. It's
you shut your mouth right now.
There's no.
You've seen John Wick,
100%. It's just, it is gross. It's disgusting to think about hurting a child, hurting an animal. And so whenever I read stories like this, it's like, you shot a fucking 5-year-old. What the actual fuck is wrong with you, bro?
Yeah. It disturbed me, like, for the Russian family, they brought along this 13-year-old girl. Like, she was a lookout. She participated. Like, what is her development, the rest of her development years going to be like? What is she going to be as an adult? Like, it's horrific. It's awful what those particular parents did to their child in a reverse violent way. If that's kind of a theme or an idea, but I can't.
It is just the weirdest thing, but
It is.
oh my gosh. Well, that was a shit sandwich with heavy on the second shit. Jesus. It was like,
yeah, I didn't realize what we were getting into when we suggested this topic. This was super dark.
If you are a Patreon listener and would like to suggest future topics, please email us.
Tracy on YouTube already suggested something that was pretty cool. I know
Mhm.
AJ, me and you came up with kind of a list of what we're going to go through, but
Mhm.
Sunny, so Tracy, our effervescent and beautiful and clever and wonderful YouTube commenter, said that we should do was it I was killed by my best friend.
By my best friend.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I think we're definitely adding that to the list.
And AJ, don't get this like weird idea of like, I'm gonna make a case for this.
Hashtag double best friend murder. You're coming to see me soon. What's up, fam?
I know.
Can we stage that?
I mean,
AJ, we'll talk later.
Okay. I love it.
we should do a photo shoot.
Uh,
No, Randy.
Do I get to wear costumes?
Yes, with like, many time period costumes.
Okay,
I'm so
I'm
down
down.
for
I'm
it.
here.
Romans, us being
I'm here.
killed in Victorian garb, like that's
Love it.
Also, fun fact for our Patreons. So AJ and Sunny are coming to visit me in beautiful mountainous Colorado, and we are
Woo!
going to record in person together
Yay!
in May.
God.
So that's
I'm
going
so
to be
excited.
I know, I can't wait to see your beautiful faces in person. So we're going to record an episode that's going to be available only to Patreons. It's going to be, I think we're going to cover a collaborative case,
Mhm.
aka the same case. Was collaborative mean? Sorry, I was GD.
Yes, you're right.
Okay, bet. Awesome. So we will be in the same room at the same time, recording the same case together, and that's going to be a listener bonus episode. So we're super excited.
Ooh, ooh.
Hells yeah.
Whoop, whoop. All
Well,
right.
I think that's all we've got for this time, ladies.
That's it. That's all I
think so.
got.
So you can follow us on Bourbon Wine and True Crime at Facebook, at Patreon, at Instagram. We're also on YouTube at Bourbon Wine and True Crime. We really appreciate all of the kind comments, the ways that we can improve that have been phrased very gently.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Rate us, subscribe, please.
Share.
comment.
Share.
Subscribe, share, leave us a kind comment,
Sharing
leave
is
us a
caring.
review. So thank you for listening to episode 4. Wait,
Four.
fuck. What episode are we on?
Or,
4.
oh, yo,
It feels like we've been doing
Fuck
this
us.
for years.
Fuck us.
you have to
Fuck
fuck us,
us.
Randy.
You
You have to fuck us. We're on episode 4. Fuck us.
All right, we will see you
Thank you
guys
for
next
listening.
week at Bourbon Wine and True Crime. And thank you.
Bye,
We
everybody.
love you.
Te amo.
Bye.